landscape architecture. But also a big thank you for nurturing the growth of the profession in Thailand. It has been my great opportunity to grow up in Thailand and then to come back and work here with PLandscape. PLandscape, as some of you may know, started in 1997 as a boutique landscape architectural firm. Now, today, we are over 100 individuals, and those comprise of course, our designers, but also a very strong team of horticulturists, artists, draftsmen, our production team, and of course, our support staff. Our base is firmly rooted in Thailand, but today, over half of our work is also located internationally in countries such as India, China, the Middle East, and beyond also. And I believe that it is this exposure to the international market that has helped open up doors for us to continue to explore our design process and become more effective as designers. The topic, by and large, today deals with ecology. Ecology is a term rooted in the Greek word oikos, which means house. And it's defined as the relationships between organisms and their environment. For us, these relationships are often very complex. They're intertwined and interdependent on each other. And these extend beyond the realm of the physical and the tangible. Interactions between organisms often form a network where changes in one area can often catalyze changes in other aspects of the network. But before I begin sounding like something from the National Geographic Channel, let me bring it back to how that becomes pertinent in landscape architecture. For us at PLA, ecology and landscape architecture really is a way or a medium to connect nature and people. We see this as our guiding philosophy that extends beyond just the physical and the functional aspects, and as a medium that often integrates a creative process, but also a keen understanding of and respect for the local heritage, culture, art, and of course the environment and the ecology. One of the first projects that marked PLA's entry into the international markets and into the rich and diverse culture of India is the Trident at Gurgaon. And this is a project that has continued to keep us involved in many other projects in the subcontinent. The Trident at Gurgaon was a redefining project for us in terms of urban hotel design. In this project, we used open spaces, and more specifically, landscape courtyards to lead the guest from the outdoors to the indoors, from the chaos of the city into a more cool, refined, and introspective space. This concept is derived and inspired from the Mughal gardens, such as the Char Bagh and Taj Mahal, and more specifically from the idea of the Persian garden, which uses walls to create an urban garden, urban but quiet, serene sanctuary garden. The experience then transitions from one room to the other, and it's often interspersed with moments of respite and reflection. Here, the context, local climate, and social behavior play an important part in the planning and design, and it's somewhat a very guided experience when you look at landscape architecture in this project. And that is just one part of the spectrum. This takes us to another one of our projects, which is closer back home in the coastal town of Krabi. It's the Pulay Bay, a Ritz-Carlton Reserve. Here, as landscape architects, we were faced with a different sort of a site issue, which dealt with the fact that the site would experience flooding every year. Located on a fairly flat terrain, actually the site is backed by these hills, and every year during the rainy season, the site would experience frequent bouts of inundation. And it was very apparent to us from the beginning of the process that we had to come up with an effective solution to not only resolve this site issue, but also make it part of the entire design process. And so on this project, we were able to work with the team of design consultants to assess the drainage patterns and create a site-wide, what is known as a water network system that would collect and circulate the water and drainage from the site throughout the year. Through a series of channels, sluice gates, and cost-effective hydraulic systems, we reached a solution that's not only solving a functional requirement, but also adding aesthetic value to the experience of the guest. Today, the water systems combined with the overall ethos of the landscape provide something that each and every guest takes back in their memory. And beyond the visual and the sensory, there are the relationships between people and nature that are often connected through elements that are somewhat intangible. And I have to borrow from the great architect, Mexican architect Luis Barragan, as he said, a garden must combine the poetic and the mysterious with a feeling of serenity and joy. This is a scene that should be quite familiar to all of you with the pink tabaguyas that are in full bloom now. They of course remind us that there is another connection to nature that sometimes could be connected to plays of nature itself with the built environment, such as the movement of light and shadow. And often it is in these intangible elements that we find facets that are equally, I believe, relevant to the experience of a landscape and to the connection and the interactions that people have with their natural environment. In Parisa and Phuket, we came up with a different site, and in Sanskrit, Parisa actually means heaven of heavens. And it's on these very steep hills that we were faced the challenge of not only the slope, but also the fact that this was a very heavily forested site. And we were able to work once again with the design team to come up with a very effective plan that today preserves 98% of the large mature trees that were on the site. And through this very integrated approach, one example is this area that was originally intended for a swimming pool. But as you can see, we found on a site visit this beautiful banyan tree that was overhanging, and we knew that if there was any building to be put there, that would hurt that banyan tree. So once again, came back to the design table and came up with a solution to locate the main swimming pool here, which is now anchored by this beautiful banyan tree. And it's become kind of one experience that has been very successful in terms of a design team collaboration. In a project in Chiang Mai in northern Thailand, this is the 137 Pillar House. Once again, we were able to really highlight the oldest living residents of the site, which are the trees themselves, and not only preserve them, but sorry about that, that wasn't me. Technical issues. But also integrate that into the design process and into the design of the spaces. These help celebrate what is kind of the living history of the site itself. At Six Senses Naka, which is now a Starwood Luxury Collection, this is also down south, we once again were able to work with the team to come up with a planting concept that negates the use of any chemicals, herbicides, and pesticides to help maintain and mature the planting that was provided on the project. In all of these projects, what is important to note is that an integrated design approach with a team of consultants really helped result in the things that we are able to talk about today. And that brings me to our final project that we're going to talk about today is a project that I was personally also involved in. This is the Park Ventures Ecoplex in downtown Bangkok. The Park Ventures Ecoplex is a special project for us. It's an urban redevelopment project, a mixed-use commercial that is actually achieved LEED Platinum for core and shell, which is quite a big achievement. The project itself is mixed use. It has retail, commercial, it has offices above, and then a nice hotel, the Oak Rubber Stage on top. and it is located on one of the busiest intersections of Longit and Withiu roads. However, at Park Ventures, the meaning of green spaces and sustainability is celebrated through the concept of the urban park, which is comprised of hardscape and landscape spaces, but entirely open and accessible by the public. Here, an existing site was actually redeveloped, and this reduced the consumption of natural resources and land. The project design addresses access on multiple levels. So when we speak of network and relationships between people and their environment, often the circulation patterns, the movements intersect and become this network, and that's apparent here, where people are able to access the site not only by the footpath, but also through elevated skywalks, through the BTS system, and even the normal day-to-day pathways that pedestrians traverse through the site every day. The forms relevant to the architectural concept are derived from the traditional Thai greeting, the Y, and this is also reflected in the selection of the landscape materials, and that brings a sense of the cultural reference in a very contemporary design. This, along with other elements in the landscape design, add to the project's aim for sustainability. For example, messages of encouragement for the users to consider a healthier lifestyle by walking. In addition, this project is built for universal access, so there's ramps that are seamlessly integrated into the design of the project, as well as opportunities for the users to consider other modes of transportation that are environmentally friendly and actually more lifestyle friendly. In addition, educational signage on the planting allows visitors to get engaged into the selection of the plant materials themselves. For example, the Araucaria pine, which has been known to absorb toxins from the air. And at night, this place transforms into another domain. Here again, we use the efficient LED night lighting, and you can see some of the artwork that has been created using recycled construction materials from the project itself. We hope that these elements not only engage the visitor, but hopefully also provide a deeper sense of understanding and a responsibility for the development and the redevelopment of urban spaces. And this philosophy for us at PLA extended beyond just the project boundaries, but to incorporate streetscape improvements that are now actually being developed on a district-wide scale. And on this, we have the creation of the Longit City, which is a public-private partnership. And as part of a network, a much larger network that extends beyond probably to a global scale, we hope that this project, or maybe many other projects such as these, can help lead us towards more effective design process and an effective development. Thank you very much.